Good evening. What I'm going to do now is give just a brief 3-minute or so summary of all the events that took place. This is just a real summary type overview. But in approximately October of 2006, I was waiting for Ocwen to give me word that they had received word from the bankruptcy court, because I had let them know I had the money to pay them any back payments. Then one day, the 6th, the guy knocks on my door and said, "Did you know your house is being sold today?" I said, "No, I didn't." The next day, I called Ocwen that day, but everyone was gone. The next day, when I got a hold of somebody, I explained what had happened. He said, "Let me look into it. I'll get back to you." He did, and he said, "I've got good news and bad news. The bad news is, yeah, your house was sold. The good news is we own it now. And I've talked to the big shots, and if you can come up with all the back payments, all the attorney's fees, and all this stuff by Friday, we will rescind that sale and you'll own it again." So I borrowed money, and I had quite a bit. They had sent me a fax on the 11th or 12th, and it was the line items were way off. The total was like 22 something, but it was obvious there was only about 3,000 or 4,000. So I called them, and either the day before on the 12th or even as late as the 13th, they refaxed it, and it looked much closer. And so we sent them by wire $22,823.66, which reinstated my loan through the end of October of 2000. My payments were $14,23.55 for the $116,250 loan. My interest rate was 14.5%. That's another story. But at any rate, all of a sudden, 2 months later, in January, in one day, they changed the trustee to the Dreyfus, Cameron and Dreyfus, and that day Cameron and Dreyfus filed a notice of default saying I owed them $10,500. Well, now I got real scared. I mean, these people couldn't even add numbers, because they had overcharged me $3,000. I'd called them and said, "Hey, what are you going to do? Is this my next 2 payments, or how are we going to work this?" And they were going to look into it. Then, boom, boom, they're foreclosing on me. So I found the law about TILA and the extended rescission right, and I rescinded it on the last day possible by sending a letter to Ocwen. Later I found out I should have sent it to AmeriQuest. But at any rate, they proceeded onwards. That didn't bother them in the least. Until I called, and they said, "Yeah, we're going to continue with the sale," which was now set for May 17th. That morning I filed for bankruptcy. I called my attorney to have him do it the day before, or 2 days before, but he was on vacation until the end of the month. And so I took a copy of the ones that he did last time and filled it in as best I could and filed it, took it out to the sale, showed it to him. They had just announced the winner, Carol O'Neill. I showed the auctioneer the things, and he was a little perplexed because Carol now decided this was her property. And so he, in order to avoid any further commotion, he said, "I'll let the trustee handle this." And me and Carol left. I faxed a copy to Cameron and Dreyfus in Orange County that afternoon, and I waited. Well, days later, Carol O'Neill comes by, and they issued her a deed, apparently, because she kicks me out and says she'll give me $1,000 if I'm out in 10 days. I told her, "Listen, I'm in bankruptcy protection. What you're doing is against the law." She then files a unlawful detainer action, and they start that action going. I'm going crazy because I seem totally helpless, even though I'm supposedly protected by this bankruptcy stay. Only when my attorney got back 2 weeks later did the madness stop, when I talked to him and he said, let me make some phone calls. And I said, please. And sure enough, then I started getting letters from the eviction attorney. Oh, we didn't know you were in bankruptcy, and everybody's jumping over everybody to say, you know, sorry. And Cameron Dreyfus sent me a letter, said, we didn't know, and you know, obviously the deal's off. But what they didn't do was they didn't rescind the deed by filing a rescission of the deed. Months later, when they had me booted out of bankruptcy court through false allegations, they then went to sale again, and it's still in the O'Neill's name. I tried to get them to stop, but they won it without a $20,000 undertaking. I had an attorney helping me, Louis Bruno, and my bankruptcy attorney was, he admitted it was past his skill level, I guess. And so we fought the best we could, and but then after we had an unlawful detainer trial, and they won because the judge didn't look at the whole thing. He just looked at a few particular points. So 2 days later, I think that was like on a Tuesday, on Thursday, finally they record a rescission of the O'Neill deed. Now, I had been offered a loan by IndyMac Bank. It was a little high, it was like 10%, but a lot better than the 14 I was paying. And the gal said, we can't do it because it's not in your name. You should get a lawyer. I already had two at that point. So that in essence is it, because they broke the bankruptcy law, and I've been unable to get a hearing. We went to hearing, and the judge understood everything, as shown on some of the transcripts. 10 days later, it's like the Manchurian Candidate. It's a whole different judge, like. And so then we went all the way to the Supreme Court, and back. In the meantime, the judge got reversed because everything I had in my house got sold by storage people who didn't obey the law either. And then the bankruptcy appellate panel reversed her and sent it back. Staying on top of the law, I found that if you bring a motion to a judge who has been misled, it's Rule 60, and you can petition the court to set aside that prior judgment and order a new trial. So I thought by going to the lowest part in this chain where the problems originated, where the case went off the tracks, we could clear this up with the least amount of effort. So I filed a motion within 1 year, as the law prescribes, and it was denied. The judge said the court had no jurisdiction. So that's where we're at. So I appealed it to the BAP, and certainly Chase Manhattan had it removed to the district court, and the unlawful trustee sent me a notice that they have bankruptcy protection in Santa Ana. So I'm way over my head. I really need help, and that is essentially what the case is about. Or those are the facts of the case. I mean, what the case is about, I'll reserve for another video. But thanks for watching. All right.